Well, howdy there, Internet students. This is Mr. Hermanson again. We're going to talk a little bit more about how you add and subtract rational numbers, and we're going to use the number line drawing idea to show that we can actually have two different expressions, one addition, one subtraction, that really mean the same thing. So remember that if I'm adding, that I am facing to the right. So if I start at -3 and I'm facing to the right, and then I end up at 2, I'm going the same way I'm facing, so that's addition. So, and so I'm starting at -3, and the length of that line is 5, but it's going in the same direction that I'm facing, so I'm adding +5. Now, the second possibility is that I'm facing to the left at -3, and I end up at 2, which means I'm walking backwards. So facing left means I'm subtracting. Walking backwards means I am subtracting a negative number. And both these results equal 2. All right, let's do one more like that. So for addition, that means we're facing to the right. We're starting at 5, facing to the right. I end up at 2, which means that I'm going the opposite of the way I'm supposed to be doing, which means that I am adding a negative because I'm going opposite. So I'm adding -3 because the length of this arrow is 3. Now, if I start backwards, that's subtraction, so 5 minus. But to get from this 5 to this 2, I'm going the same way I'm facing, which means I am subtracting a positive number. So I'm subtracting 3. So both of these equal 2. So why don't you try the next couple, and then you can check back and see if you got them right. Come up with the two different scenarios, one addition and one subtraction. All right, so there they are. Those are the ones you should have came up with. All right, now we can do the same thing with decimals or with fractions. I'll do the one with the decimal, and you can, well, I'll just do one of them and you can do the other one for both. So we're starting at 5.25, and addition means we're facing to the right. And we're going to end at 7.75, so we have to figure out how long that line is. It looks like it's about 2.5 long. And I'm going the way I'm facing, which means I'm adding, and I'm adding a positive number. So I start at 5.25, I add 2.5, and I end up at 7.75. All right, why don't you pause now and see if you can come up with the subtraction equation for that. All right, there you go. You would have to subtract the -2.5 for that one. Okay, let's do this fraction one. We're starting at -3 1/3. And I'll do the subtraction one this time, and you can do the addition one. So subtraction means I'm facing at 3 1/3, I'm facing to the left. I'm ending at 2 1/3, which means I'm going backwards, which means I have to have a negative number. So I have -3 1/3, and it's a minus because I'm facing to the left, and then I'm going backwards, so it's a negative number that I'm subtracting. And the length of that negative number is, so it's 3 and, it looks like it's 5 2/3. And there's the addition equation you should have got for that one. Okay, so in this thing we're going to compute, we're going to calculate each difference, the answer to the subtraction problem, and we're going to write the answer in the form of a subtraction equation, then write an addition equation that is equivalent. So the subtraction equation, okay, so if we do 2 minus 5, calculate that, that equals -3. The subtraction equation 2 minus 5 on the addition equation would be 2 plus -5. All right, you try the next one, number 7. That's what I got. And the next round, we're going to do, we're going to calculate the sum. So let's go ahead and do that. This would be -11. This would be 6 1/4. Now I'm going to let you write the two equations, the original equation as an addition problem, so 6 plus -6 plus -5, and then you have to change that to a subtraction equation. Okay, so -1 plus 7 1/4, 7 1/4. You're going to write both of those as subtraction. So go ahead and pause and try that. And that looks like that. Okay, let's do some real life problems here. We want an addition and a subtraction problem that gives the answer to this question. When Tyler fell asleep, when he went to sleep, the temperature outside was 2 below Fahrenheit. It dropped 12 degrees overnight, so it got colder. So I would definitely start with subtraction on that one. And so I'm thinking it's 2 below, and it's dropping 12. So 12 less than -2. And then the addition problem for that would be, as we've seen, if the same as subtracting 12 would be adding a -12. That would make it go in the same direction. All right, and either way, the temperature was -14 when Tyler woke up. Okay, all right, so why don't you come up with the equation for this problem, Rosa, and write it as a subtraction and also as an addition. Now in this one, since we're looking for the change in elevation, basically we want to think of 600 as the absolute value because we're talking about the distance that Rosa traveled. So this distance is actually 600 and this distance is 92. So the change in elevation is what we get when we add those two together. All right. Thinking about what we said today, why don't you go ahead and complete each of these sentences, and we'll check back with you, see if you got the right answer, and if you didn't, you can just change your answer. All right, your answer should look something like that. Adding a negative is equivalent to subtracting a positive. Subtracting a negative is equivalent to adding a positive. Adding a positive is equivalent to subtracting a negative, and subtracting a positive is equivalent to adding a negative. All right. Okay, so figure out and circle whether the sums or differences in each category are always positive, always negative, sometimes. And it says prove it by, but we're going to skip that today. And so just pick your choice, and then we can check your answers. So a positive plus a positive is always negative, always positive, or sometimes positive, sometimes negative. That would be always positive. And your proof would be things like this. No matter what two positives you add, you're going to get a positive. All right, so go ahead and do the rest of them and see if you get them right. So checking your answers, the ones that are sometimes, I gave an example of each where you would get sometimes get positive, sometimes get negative. And the other ones I left, I didn't give an example because every example would be whatever you circled there. Okay. All right, I think you're ready to work on these problems. Go ahead and do that, and then put your answers on the Google form. And we'll talk to you soon.